Botani Mawethu, and welcome to the Sheds. We are back again shedding the lights on everything that matters.
Is there a possibility to see, as you're unveiling those names, to see your former presidents such as Jacob Zuma emerging in the act?
Me, I believe in leaders who emerge out of struggle. I don't believe in people who are made by the media.
The ANC is still trying to grapple with power. It is still trying, to cling on to power. And most probably that's why we're also even finding it very difficult for not just only the ANC, but also other political parties coming into the fore when it came to the review of the electoral bill.
We are talking about an 80.9 billion budget of the city of Johannesburg. Basically, to run the city, there's about 80 billion, 900 million that is involved. Somebody will ask, what does it mean to preside over a budget this big?
I haven't had time to sit back and say, hey man, well done. My focus really has been in ensuring that we are moving forward, we are sustaining. So maybe in December, sitting down with a glass of whiskey, I can say no. At least,
I want to ask this, doctor, because I think currently, as you've seen, in our country, especially in the space of social media, you see people coming out having a meltdown of mental illness. Do you think people, because they don't know how to deal with, some they just cause outbursts in those spaces. Do you think maybe the problem is that we're not having much discussion about it, that people, they don't know where to go when they start to experience?
The most important thing is that the people, they need to vote in line with the kind of future they want to live in. They can't be voting because of the past or not wanting to participate in voting at all. So what we're saying is the ATM, critically, we need to invest in the future. And the future lies in educating our young people.
From the look of things and the researches that has been done, it looks like we won't get an outright majority.
The thing was always there, the phrase was there, but we needed to take it, clothe it, because I viewed it as civic activism with purpose that needed meat.
Actually, the breaking point was seeing the people that I looked up to, Baba, subjected into such things and they had to succumb to it.
Amazamazamas is the what meek, or I don't want to say meek, who are hard workers.
South Africa today spends 143 million rand every day paying these so-called independent power producers of renewable energy who deliver zero, because 100% of their power is redundant, meaning it is not usable in the grid.
I've got 3 clean audits. I've finalized more than 60,000 complaints and issued 412 reports. And by last year, it was only 14 or 17 which were set aside. And it's not even a percentage.
I think 30 years or so now down the line, the time to review the Constitution has come.
Today we're shedding light on the ANC Youth League. Who was the ANC Youth League backing to become the president? Let's start there.
Part of its resolutions was that products of the Youth League must take over the ANC.
No, you see, I don't want you to go there first. Let's start with the president. And I'll tell you why I don't want to go there first.
All right. The pronouncement of the Youth League was Zwelin Kize, then the SG, Fikile Mbalula, and a number of young people.
So in the ANC, a 35-year-old can never be a president?
No, it's possible.
But if you look at your system and your method, it will never happen.
But sorry to interject. You keep on saying you've got a problem with the old guard. And I'm not listening to you. What else can you do besides making noise about them?
No, it's not like they're not listening to us. Old people generally, when they grow old, they forget, they become complacent. This is a problem you'll have everywhere, even in your own family home. The old guard, they start to relax when they grow older.
Welcome to the Sheds. We're back again. My name is Ntsako. I'm with Nkosana Lukocholo. Mhlekazi, are you right?
Mhlekazi, I'm good.
Yeah, nothing is not going well, Mhlekazi.
No, I'm ready, Mhlekazi.
Mhlekazi, have you ever taken any drastic action in your youth days?
Yeah, Mhlekazi, there's many.
What is one thing that you've ever done which you think defines your youth at some particular moment in your life?
Back in the days, Mhlekazi, I was at UKZN. It was still called University of Westville, Mhlekazi. We went on the street, Mhlekazi, crying for free education, Mhlekazi. Back in the days, Mhlekazi. That was one of the trusts.
That's one of the things. Today we're shedding light on the ANC Youth League, the Lang Lions. We want to find out if they are still roaring, if they are still back, if they are still relevant, if they are ready to take charge of the country, if at all they will. And to help us shed the light on the ANC Youth League is Ntsako Mogobo. Welcome to the Sheds, Mhlekazi.
Sure, Mhlekazi.
I'm all right, man.
You're welcome, Mhlekazi, man.
Yeah.
You call yourself number one, GP number one. I saw that on Facebook, and you were introduced to me as GP number one. Is that your official name you go by in the political circles?
No. That's not my official name. I think it's my comrades who normally get creative. I'm the convener of the Youth League in Gauteng. I'm the political head. So I'm the first in line of defense of young people in the province. So maybe that's why they say GP number one.
Why convener? Convener seems there's a problem.
No, there's absolutely no problem. We have not just went to our conference yet. We are going to convene our conference after the disbandment of the Youth League, the PC that was there for 8 years, in next year, immediately after elections. So we are a new provincial task team given executive authority to mobilize young people under the banner of the ANC and represent their interest in the province.
Yeah. He spoke about being a convener, and for 8 years, I think they haven't held a conference. One would say, are you still relevant after 8 years? Exactly. Young people would have moved and found other political homes.
Yeah. No. Youth activism is relevant. The existence of challenges of young people are still there. There are still many. We have a responsibility to make sure that young people have got a good social standing in society, and for as long as challenges of young people are still there, the Youth League will remain relevant.
You say the Youth League will remain relevant as long as challenges of young people are still there. Yeah. What role do you think the Youth League has played over the past 5 years on the matters affecting, if a young person is sitting there, what role has the Youth League played?
Yeah, we've done a lot. We've enabled the environment for young people to express their talent. I think the call for scraping of experience as a primary requirement in government work for young people, it's a victory of the Youth League. We've rallied around issues of course, free education, agitating. Our Youth League that I led implemented or got what it called through the Premier, the Youth Advisory Panel. And these are structures that from time to time are able to change the daily lives of young people. So our duty is to make sure that we influence, we agitate, but also change the status quo at all times and give hope to young people that they can do what they believe in or what they're talented in. And I think that remains our role.
Just a follow-up, Mhlekazi. I don't want you to sound like a minister. Advisory panels, putting measures in place, leaving no stone unturned. Let's talk practicalities. And you mentioned free education. Education is not free. Like right now, I'm sitting here as a parent of young boys, wondering whether I will ever be able to take them to university, for instance. And what is considered good quality education also does not come free. Why, according to the ANC Youth League, is education taking so long to be free? Why can't I simply walk into a university and register?
I think we have made progressive resolutions. I just think that old people who hold positions in the ANC are dragging their feet. And that's why we're calling for a necessary change and a quick change and a takeover of young people. I mean, from the days of my teenage days, we've fought for free education. I mean, we've declared no free schools to pre-tertiary level. I know that SGBs, they make students pay. But to our understanding, government is giving money to no-fee schools in pre-tertiary level for students to go to school for free, and those are resolutions of the Youth League. The Youth League has declared free education and forced the ANC since 2007, 2012 conference and the 2017 conference to declare free education. That's why they increased the money through NSFAS, declared NSFAS as no longer a loan. But we don't think it's enough until we reach a stage where every young person, irrespective of their standing in society, they can go actually to school for free. And I think this is something that we think must be prioritized. We're not entirely happy with the pace. That's why we're getting impatient, and very soon we'll call for some to leave the stage.
Just on that, Mhlagas, he is talking about the current executive, of which is the ANC-led executive. And I think some of the controversial comments you've made is that the executive is filled with pensioners. We're going to elections next year. And do you think they're ever listening to you?
We don't want them to listen. We want some of them to take pension as soon as possible. That's why we're calling for 50% of all young people in the ANC to be in all corridors of power, in the executive and all influential spaces where decisions are made in the country.
So in practical terms, you're calling them to be in which specific
they must
positions?
Leave. They must leave. Or young people, they must be in serious executive authority positions. I mean, we want young people to be ministers, deputy ministers. They must be CEOs, of state-owned enterprises, If young people have got solutions to resolve load shedding, I mean, we've got so many young people in North Carolina, they have so many ideas. And we want to give them space, and old people are not in touch with them. That's why they must leave.
The ANC Mhlekazi recently held an elective conference at which President Ramaphosa
the Nazareth
one, emerged victorious with the deputy, Paul Mashatile, SG, Fikile Mbalola, 2 deputies, Treasurer General. And the story goes on to the additional. Yes. Who was the ANC Youth League backing to become the president? Let's start there.
The Youth League, remember, went to its national meeting. Part of its resolutions was that products of the Youth League must take over the ANC. For the very first time, we have a direct product of the Youth League, a pure nationalist who's the Secretary General.
No, you see, I don't want you to go there first. Let's start with the president. And I'll tell you why I don't want to go there first.
All right.
Who did you back to lead the ANC?
You asked if the Youth League, in terms of its resolutions, who did it back?
Yes.
So
as the president?
It backed the SG Fikile Mbalula.
To be?
That's a resolution of the Youth League.
To be?
The Secretary General.
No. I asked about the president, remember?
Yes.
Who did you back to become the president of the ANC?
No, its resolution was as well in Kize. There were some offers, of course, were calling for the president to come back. The pronouncement of the Youth League was Zwelin Kize, then the SG, Fikile Mbalula, and a number of young people who are...
You see why I'm asking you this? If you look at the president, and look at it this way, you're backing the president, either Zwelin Kize or Cyril Ramaphosa. Both are old. Those guys can be my father. And then you're saying, and that's why I don't want you to go to Mbalola yet, you say Fikile Mbalula must be the Secretary General. Because in your view, you are saying 5 years later, you can see him as the president. How old is he now? I'm saying, if you are saying Fikile Mbalula being a Secretary General, that means young people are on. At which point do you envisage ANC being led by young people? When they are 51?
Yeah, look, there are generations within the ANC. A total takeover, you also need an organizational or institutional memory. And generations in the ANC that are ready to take over, it's a generation that has relaunched the Youth League in 1991 in the country.
So in the ANC, a 35-year-old can never be a president?
No, it's possible.
But if you look at your system and your method, it will never happen. You're talking about generational mix,
your slate in terms of conference, yeah.
Meaning you follow a particular order, and that order does not look like it will ever produce a 35-year-old as a president of this country.
It can. It is upon a generation to make a 35-year-old ready to be a president of the ANC.
Is there a 35-year-old who can be ready to be president today?
So currently we did not have, that's why we have the current product. And that's
right
why
now, do you have a 35-year-old who can be a president of the ANC?
As in tomorrow?
There are many in the ANC that are
Why then are you not calling on them to take over?
I mean, we're speaking about institutional memory and, of course, sustaining. Remember, the ANC is in government. And, of course, you can't just do a total takeover.
Yes. Now, if institutional
we can't
memory,
have a coup like...
yes. If you're speaking institutional memory,
yeah.
there can never be a 35-year-old with institutional memory.
They can.
Because that 35-year-old, 5 years from now, will not be 35.
No, they can.
How?
Look, I've joined the Youth League at the age of 14. Meaningly, there would be a number of years of experience when you reach.
So you went through the ranks?
You go through the ranks. At 35, you can be ready to lead anywhere. So we're just necessarily saying young people are ready to lead anywhere. That's why we're calling for them to be in all corridors of power. But we're also sensible. I mean, it's not... if you can see that this is not the time for a total takeover, you don't destroy generations of young people. Because if you make them contest spaces where they can't, you know they will not definitely win.
You see, I have a problem with that, Ntsako. When you say, if you see it's not time for a total takeover, is that not expressing lack of confidence in the young people? How can it be that you think right now there can't be a total takeover? What would be wrong with the ANC Youth League saying, we want to take charge of the ANC and lead this country, and we're calling for a total takeover for that matter? Everyone who's above 40 must not be in the leadership of the ANC. I'll make an example. Would that be wrong?
It will be all wrong. Our position is generational mix. It is important for young people of this country to know where they come from, where we are, and of course to usher in a generation that will then understand where we came from, but also take charge of government that they understand. So we prepare leaders in the movement. So just to get excited and say take over without preparing, for me, it will be us trying to plunge the country into a crisis.
Ntsako, I want to bring you back to Gauteng, since you are responsible for Gauteng and the issues that are facing young people in Gauteng. One of the top challenges, especially in Gauteng and across the country, is unemployment, especially youth unemployment. I mean, you agree with me, your previous Premier of Gauteng, David Makura, before he left, he described the unemployment for young people as a crisis. Do you agree with those sentiments? And what have you done to champion, to make sure that unemployment in Gauteng is reduced, taking in consideration that almost 40% of population, it's young people in Gauteng?
It's a ticking time bomb. We're not happy with every intervention that the ANC government is trying to make around issues of unemployment. I don't think we'll ever be happy until we get to a stage where maybe at least we've got 0 or 2% unemployment, which might be an issue that we can then make those young people to then work for their own. We're not happy, it's a ticking time bomb. The interventions we're trying to bring, there's Nasisipani, which brought the ideas of the Youth League. We asked why there are vacancies, a lot of vacancies in Gauteng government, but they're not being filled. Can we advertise these vacancies? And for the very first time, we celebrated June 16 with young people in the lines, making sure that they apply for unemployment. Nasisipani is not a solution. It's a drop in the ocean. We want a leadership that is saying we've got the political will to end unemployment. And of course, government must take charge and take a lead first. then we'll then bring everyone on board in the private sector and everywhere else.
What are you proposing in terms of the radical change for unemployment? What is the Youth League in Gauteng?
Look, firstly, you've got different types of young people. In those who are unemployed, you've got those who are unemployable. But of course, we must then be able to skill them so that they are able to then create jobs and, of course, make means for themselves. And those that are who are unemployable, who are calling for a skills revolutions, we have said to Gauteng government, we must then bring a lot of SETAs, but also said to the education department, why do we have to have young people who end up in matric? All of them are not skilled, they can't do anything, and we can't even accommodate all of them in the big universities we have in the province. So we want young people from as early as grade 9 to then have skills to be able to make means for themselves, enable the environment for job opportunities. They can create their own jobs, but also employ their peers at that particular point. So that is the one sector of young people that we must then be able to focus on.
But being unemployable, you know, it worries me that there is a term referred to the young people as potentially, or in fact, being unemployable. You said they're unemployed.
Meaning you cannot be
they're
employed.
unemployable, meaning you
You're
cannot
unable
be
to.
absorbed into employment. And why I'm worried about that, if you're unemployable now, is there a young person who says, hey, I'm at that level, I'm unemployable, and what is a status of being unemployable?
Yeah, of course there is. It is the disengaged youth. This is youth that could not go to school for whatever reasons. They are not skilled in any way. You will find them mostly in our own townships or remote areas. They've lost hope of anything to do. When they wake up, they go to a corner, either they smoke and do everything else wrong. That in terms of our social standards, we say that we don't need such. So this is the targeted young people that we're speaking to, that they're disengaged, they've lost hope. But we're not saying that they would be unable to then be saved from their situation. So that is why we target them and say they're unemployable. How do we then bring interventions that will then make sure that they are out of that particular quagmire? Because our role is to ensure that all these young people who are disengaged, if they've got certain skills, they've got a love for soccer, they don't have a platform to then showcase this particular skill. So the Youth League needs to ensure that in every corner, everywhere in the province, they are able to be engaged with these young people.
What has been your interventions in channeling the challenges of young people broadly? What are you busy with? What are you doing in engaging and ensuring that problems facing young people are a thing of the past?
Yeah. No, you know, of course, we spoke about youth unemployment as being the main, but there are many social challenges that are facing young people. Interventions in terms of programs that we bring, how do we unite them or bring a platform where young people are able to share ideas? I think that's the first thing, because, you know, a lot of young people feel like they can't express themselves anywhere, they don't have platforms. That's why we're calling on Department of Sports to then open youth hubs in every society. And to have a youth hub, you don't need a beautiful building. You just need a space or a land where we can say this is where the community will then be able to then showcase the talent that they have or skills that they have. I mean, we need to go back to reindustrialization, factories that are not working in our own communities. The only thing we do with those factories is to give foreign churches those buildings to utilize. We're not doing anything with them.
What if you're on foreign nationals, pasta shops, poisons, all those things?
I think it's time for young people to take over that economy. Government must soon help us check the undocumented foreign nationals who are having this or who are owning these tuck shops. They must leave soon. They are a danger to our society. I mean, our young people are consuming goods that have expired. There's counterfeit goods as well. And then there's been a lot of complaints that some of them, I mean, they're not even meeting the health standards. And I think this is the economy where we have not mobilized our society coming to our young people, and it's taken over by foreign nationals. But it is worse when it's taken over by illegal foreign nationals. And we can't be soft and laugh with any illegal foreign nationals doing business in our country. That's criminal. And I think this is where we'll then call the Department of Economic Development, and of course, to then zoom into that space where we'll then be able to enable our young people to have what we call bulk buying, but deliberately fund them to have tuck shops in our own townships. But we'll call for the Youth League branches everywhere in the province to go physically and check these tuck shops as to whether
Talking about that, Mr. Ntsako, I want to ask you about, in terms of your sway, in terms of, because there's people, a lot of people who said the ANC Youth League have lost teeth, and they can make examples of that. And I want to get to this, to say, what influence do you have as ANC Youth League in terms of shaping the policy direction of the ruling party, of the government? And also coupled with in terms of your qualities. And if you check, there's been a lot of young people, youth leaders, who were in the ANC Youth League who've left, from your Julius Malema, and recently now Makasala Mzobe, who was the ANC Youth League convener. He left as well. And people are saying, you're no longer relevant.
It's a sinking ship.
It's a sinking ship.
Look, you know, the youth movements in the MDM, they make you who you become, you know. And there's no single individual that can live and make the Youth League irrelevant or any other.
So Julius Malema has not made the Youth League irrelevant?
No, not at all. I mean, he left the movement.
He was fired.
He was fired for ill discipline, and the Youth League is still here. Since he left. We have problems with the old guard in the ANC, but how we then resolve those particular problems. We had a problem on how they approached the after firing of Julius and how they wanted the Youth League to be.
But sorry to interject, you keep on saying you've got a problem with the old guard. And I'm not listening to you. What else can you do besides making noise about them vacating?
It's not like they're not listening to us. You know, old people generally, when they grow old, they forget, they become complacent. This is a problem you'll have everywhere, even in your own family home. The old guard, they start to relax when they grow older. So you will check generations of young people in the Youth League. Mandela was a radical, but when he was president of the ANC, I would say they tried to cap what Peter Mokaba was and destroyed that particular generation of young people. And it came. Every generation of the Youth League will always have differences and quarrels on how to approach certain decisions of the movement with the old guard. So any young person that does not have a problem with how old people are doing things, then that young person must be old themselves.
Okay, it's elections next year. Young people remain unemployed. Crime is high. Education is not free. Businesses are not thriving. Old guard are still in power. Is the ANC the right political party to continue leading the country? I wanted to tell the people, why must they vote for the ANC?
It remains the rightful party. It has got its heart in the right place. But this is what we'll say to the ANC now currently, that the youth vote will not be free. The youth vote must come with employment, must come with jobs. The youth vote this time around will not be based on whether who carried a gun in the apartheid days. It would be based on the interventions they're making in terms of youth in business, of course, youth in churches, and youth in the arts and culture space as well. That are they then able to enable the environment? And they must not speak about red tapes. They've got the ability, they've got everything else, and they've got innovative young people in the ANC that can then enable this particular environment. What they must be given it's a chance to then take over. And 50% of young people will be part of government.
People often refer to the ANC as corrupt. Have you ever seen a corrupt comrade?
Or seen in a brown envelope?
Have you ever met a corrupt comrade?
No. We see when people are charged that, oh, this comrade has done this and that.
But did you defend
have you ever, I've never heard the ANC said, this one is corrupt. No. For instance, have you ever laid charges against a corrupt comrade?
No, we're going to lay them. We have not yet. But for now, the Youth League from its conference spoke seriously against corruption.
So the ANC Youth League and the ANC has never laid charges against any person who's corrupt?
Yeah, but the Youth League took a resolution in its conference now.
Only now?
Yeah, that it will be serious on corruption.
Do you know anybody whom you are suspecting?
Any leader, we have a report.
Of being corrupt now?
Not yet, but we're watching them.
So
we're a watchdog.
They are still clean.
We're watching them.
So all of them, you don't have any small suspicion of, not even one corrupt
one?
In terms you don't look and say, this one.
No, in terms of the law.
Yeah,
in terms of the law, they are clean, but we're watching them. Oh, okay. Is this how they are living?
There's no one who's suspicious when you look at and say, but this guy, 10 million house.
Yeah, you should be calling for lifestyle audits. Are you doing that?
No, definitely. We will call for them.
It looks like many things that you say we will.
No, I can assure you, because I got the question you're asking, you are saying, have we laid charges? We have not.
We have not.
But we are willing to do that. And any arrangement of a corrupt individual next day won't tolerate that as the Youth League, and we'll definitely take charge ourselves. We might press charges ourselves.
Thanks, Ben. Thanks. And I look forward to a day where the ANC Youth League will walk to a court or to a police station and say, we are the ANC Youth League. We are here to lay charges of corruption or charges of rape or charges of assault or charges of bank robbery against a fellow comrade. That will be the day we are looking for. You have been watching yet another installment of The Sheds. We're coming to you every Monday, 8 o'clock on Soweto TV, and we take that to our Sheds podcast every Tuesday at 12 o'clock. Stay watching the show. Follow us on social media, on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter. That has been another installment of The Sheds. Bye-bye.